and good evening. My name is Teresa Maziarz. I am a consecrated woman of Regnum Christi. I'm originally from Michigan. I've been consecrated for 19 years, and we are here for an evening of getting a renewed update with our territorial director of the North American Territory. We did this last year, so we're just updating again. I'll just let them introduce themselves. Yvonne is here as part of our conversation with our territorial director.
So good evening, I'm Kathleen Murphy. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm originally from Canada, and I've been consecrated for 27 years and happy to be serving in this role.
It's such a blessing to be here with you tonight. My name is Yvonne Fontaine. I'm also from Canada, so it's good to have a fellow Canadian. And I'm living here in Atlanta, and I work with young adults.
So we wanted just to give a renewed update since, like I said, we did this last year, but now after a year of being our territorial director, we want to have you give us a snapshot of how do you see the territory. Also give us some numbers too, because there may be some people that don't know how many consecrated exist in our territory. So.
Yeah, sure. No, overall, it's been a really beautiful year this year. It's been a lot of learning, but I see that the territory is in a beautiful place of sustaining vitality overall. We have 80 women in the territory, including Manila, because that's part of our territory, and we have 10 communities. We just opened a community this year in New Orleans. The locality has been asking for some time, and when we did our strategic plan, that was part of the conversation that we had, and we were able to make that determination to be able to expand. So they've been so welcomed and so grateful for, first of all, the work and the dedication of the lay people there, as well as the legionary community that have been so gracious. So that's a little bit of like where we're at. Overall, we have about 34 of the women that are dedicated full-time in works of the Federation, so in Regnum Christi in the sections, whether it's young adults, ECYD. We have about 19, I think it's around 19 or 20 consecrated that are serving in our schools. I actually just came back from a visit. I think this is Michigan is right, your hometown, right?
Yes.
So I just got back from a canonical visit there to visit the community. And it's so beautiful because their apostolic focus is revitalizing and helping build the spiritual family of Regnum Christi, but through Everest Academy. So it was neat to actually tour the school, to see the reality, to see the community that they're in. So we also have other women that are working in dioceses, so they're supporting the evangelization plan or the vocational work, whatever is really the need, but bringing our charism there, kind of further and beyond, which is beautiful. And others that are studying. One of the things that we actually have been really growing in is helping our women discern their personal mission, and in that process discover how important it is as we're immersed in the world and immersed in the realities of the world and the needs of people to be better trained and equipped. So we have a few of them actually have gone and gotten doctorate degrees, which is pretty amazing. Yes, we have a lot to celebrate in that sense. So I think that's in a nutshell. There's been a lot of initiative that have come up throughout this year, even with COVID. I mean, honestly, it's been really neat to see how our women have pivoted and have really, and with the Regnum Christi localities, have really been responding to needs. One of the initiatives that has come up kind of from grassroots is what we call the RC Music Collective. I don't know if any of you have seen some of their work.
Oh, I
if
love
not,
it.
go check them out on
Yes,
YouTube.
yes. Well, you have our
Spotify.
dear Emily Roman here in community with
our own star right here in the house.
Yeah, but what's really neat about that apostolate is that it's consecrated women, it's legionaries of Christ, and it's lay people that have come together, and they see that music is a beautiful tool for evangelization. So that's something that's come up most recently. We also have Mission Corps, RC Mission Corps, which is going strong. We have 11 young women that are dedicating this year to serve and help us in our communities, and I think they're serving in 7 of our communities. So there's a lot of beautiful things that have been happening in the area of evangelization and outreach and initiative and focus. Right? So
beautiful.
that's what I can share.
Yes.
It's so beautiful.
Thank you. It is always good to get like a little snapshot too of what's been happening to all of us and like throughout a whole year, especially since it's been COVID. We have like sometimes we haven't seen each other for one thing.
Well, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
But then also just like to see, oh my gosh, there are things going on and there is a lot of life, which kind of leads into the next kind of topic. because we were speaking before about Nancy, our general director, wrote us a letter after the General Assembly, kind of giving us her reflections and speaking of being fully alive. It's kind of like a motto that she gave us. And I just think it really struck a chord with us as Consecrated, that we were like, yes, after all of these years of so much renewal, so many processes, reflections, documents, the church accompanying us through that. Nancy just really saw the Holy Spirit leading us in that direction of saying, okay, now live, go live. And we're all just like, yes, we want to do that. And I know, like, and that's kind of what we wanted to share a little bit about too in this moment. But you had some insights in there that I think is beautiful to share with everybody.
Oh, certainly, sure. And if you have anything else to add, Yvonne?
For sure.
So it's something that, yes, definitely Nancy wrote that Easter letter, but it really came from resonance and almost the conclusions and the fruits of this whole process that we've been throughout these 10 years of renewal, but also the conclusions of the General Assembly that we just finished. So that was something that's kind of where it stems from. We're striving that we can actually, after so many years of deeper, necessary work of really looking at our charism, looking at our identity and mission, to now say, okay, let's live it. Let's live what has resounded in our hearts. Let's live out these new constitutions that we have as a new society of apostolic life. Let's live the mission. So it's a time where discernment will continue to happen. Conversion is ongoing, and we need that certainly. But it is a time to put into practice all that we've seen, right?
Yeah. In fact, you were saying something with the young woman that you work with.
Yes, our young people. Our young people here in Atlanta. It's been beautiful to see how they've been so on fire, and they're just coming alive. And they just love doing downtown missions and summer camps and just sharing God's love with all the people that they've met through different youth activities. And also it's been beautiful to see our Regnum Christi people, lay people, also coming to life too, and just really supporting one another in our mission as well. So it's just been such a gift.
It's one of the points that we have as a focus for this year is really collaborating in mission and communion, building communion. So I did want to say, actually, speaking of young adults, that is also another thing that happened this year, is that we were able to form a commission. We have Helen Yalber, a consecrated woman, and Father Benjamin O'Loughlin that have formed part of this commission, and they brought on also some other young adults. And one of their main, I guess you'd say, jobs or missions for this year is to assess the young adult work in the whole territory, to make an assessment of that, to bring that to the college, so that we can be synergizing and uniting forces and finding ways that we can be benefiting from what people are doing in different cities and different localities. So.
I think that call to communion is something that is universal. I mean, the whole church has that call, but as a movement, it's something that when you start speaking about it to other Regnum Christi members, a legionary or a lay member, there's something in there that I feel like there's a spark, and that we want to collaborate so much more. Not that we haven't before, but I feel like that is something that, that there's a desire there, and it's happening practically as well. And from what you're just saying as well, sometimes, just to help everybody else out there to understand too, us renewing ourselves as consecrated doesn't mean that we just go off to our own little bubble and we're doing our thing over here. But we're trying to also, you grow in that identity first, and then how do I become part of this family? And I think that process that we've been through for 10 years, or how many, has it been 10?
It's been 10.
10. Happy anniversary, everybody. So that process has been growing and has been long. But I think very fruitful in that way, that we can now say, okay, how do we work with now each part of our family? So we're not leaving anybody alone. We're learning how to work better, I think.
I would also just add to that I think it's really Mother Church has helped us in this whole process and educated us. There's a lot we didn't know. I mean, we had to go through a whole illuminative stage, and honestly, there is a value of actually having each entity having its own autonomy. And at the same time, the church has also recognized we have a shared charism. We have a shared charism and mission with the whole family of Regnum Christi. That's why we have this new canonical structure of federation, which unites these entities together. So our autonomy and our effort to be autonomous is to safeguard and preserve our identity as lay consecrated women of Regnum Christi, but so that we can very fully insert ourselves and be part of the great family, the greater family, the great family, the larger family.
Yes. Okay, so leading into this, it's the Holy Spirit, I think, leading. How do we live that then going forward? What do you see as a territorial director using, like, the fully alive communion, all of the things that we've been seeing right now? What's your vision, I guess, or how you see this territory going forward?
I mean, honestly, I think a lot of work has been done even before I stepped into this service, honestly, with the communal discernments, the strategic focus that we had of really helping our community see what is the reason for which God has us in this locality. What is the purpose for which he has wanted us? What way does he want us to contribute to the larger family? And in that process, I think that the communities have become more focused, there's been an apostolic focus, and that's a contribution that they bring to the locality, right? So it's kind of having...
That happened before, right?
It happened before, but we're seeing that it's still a work in progress, right? So for example, we have a locality, and we want that locality. There's many communities within one locality, right? There's a community of the Legionaries, there's a community of the Consecrated, there's the large community of Regnum Christi. So how do those communities come together, and how can they all be vibrant and work towards common goals and towards a common strategic focus, right, of their work? So that's the effort and the I don't know what you call that, but kind of the focus of this year is being able to foster that communion and collaboration to make that happen.
And that gives me a lot of hope hearing you say that, because it just speaks to growing as a spiritual family and being able to grow in our mission together. So it's just so beautiful to see that coming out and moving forward.
And I would even say I could speak to this of even on the territorial level, we have, for example, we have the vocation office. We have Adrienne Rels, who's the vocation director, but she's also in collaboration and communication and has meetings with Donna and with Father, I think it's Father Martin. I'm not sure if he's still. So, but yeah, so there is like a crossover of communication happening, so as to safeguard our growing together. Yeah,
that's awesome.
One question that might be out there as well is financial sustainability and how you see that as a territory.
Well, that's one of our top priorities, right? Obviously, it's one of our top priorities. And we are working towards that. We are taking steps towards financial sustainability, right? Because as a Society of Apostolic Life, we have to actually be autonomous also in the area of finances. So we're taking great strides. We've been working towards that. We have a plan that's like a 5-year plan. We obviously still need support. It's not that we have it all figured out, but it's ongoing meetings and working towards that, right? One of the things that we have been doing is helping our communities really to be self-sustaining and to have a financial model. So that was one of the goals that we had last year, and all of them were able to take steps towards, like, where are their stipends coming, where are their donations coming, how can they make a plan to allow this to be sustained over time. So that was a good step, but we still have a ways to go.
Steps in the right direction.
Yeah.
So Kathleen, as a sort of closing, is there anything else that you would like to share as a follow-up on what you've said, or points that might have been missed?
No, honestly, I just feel that, the vision moving forward, if I could just add anything, it would be, I really hope that we can continue delving deeply into the charism which we received, which is a gift from the Holy Spirit, and it's a gift for the church. So the more that we understand that and are living that to the full, right, this whole idea of life and living and flourishing, the more that we are being true to what God has desired for us and being a true service to the church. So that would be my great desire. I mean, if I had other desires, I would say for sure, I desire that every single consecrated woman in this territory is deeply in love with Jesus, for sure, and living out their vocation, their vows, right? Poverty, chastity, and obedience to the full, right? I desire that for each one. I desire new vocations. Absolutely. I desire new vocations that can feel the attraction to this lifestyle and to this charism that they are perceiving through this lived experience of our communities and our women. And then ultimately, I know I already mentioned it, but with regards to the dream of the Society of Apostolic Life that takes autonomy with enthusiasm and responsibility, and that involves financial as well. I mean, we are still... It's not an area that I have a lot of knowledge in, for sure. I have others that are in the field that are dedicating and committed to this, and that's really helpful and consoling. But we certainly need to build up our own donor list. We have to build up. So there's a lot there in that area, always with the understanding that it's to support our mission. We need the funds to be able to live out our mission. So it has that goal in mind, that projection in mind. But those would be the things that I would share that are on my heart.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And also for us too, if you want to share for all these lovely people watching, anything that you would like to say to our Regnum Christi family who's watching, those are the last words.
It has been such a gift to be part of this spiritual family with each one of you. And over these 15 years of my consecrated life, and as I continue into this, our consecration, I just want to thank you for all your support that you've given us throughout all these years. And I look forward to continuing sharing our charism, our mission together as we move forward as a spiritual family. Please count on our prayers, and we ask you for your prayers as well.
I would love, actually, just kind of going on the heels of that, I would like to thank, in a very special way, our mission support team. It just came to my mind and my heart. I mean, there are people that are working in the field to support the localities, and they are so dedicated, so committed, and just really, truly servant leaders. So I just want to shout out to them. But also to all the lay people, honestly, we are in this together, and we are mutually enriched. Our vocations are mutually enriched by each other, and I can say I have been edified and I have grown through the holiness and the commitment of so many lay men and women over the years of my consecrated life. And if I could say anything to you, I would say I truly hope that you believe that you have the charism within, and that you can respond to God within from that charism. That it's not any one of us that is going to bring that to others. It's the gift that each one of us has received, right? So
it's kind of hard to say anything after that. I'm like, but especially after just coming back to the States after 2 months, being here in Atlanta for 2 months, but being in Chile for 5 years and seeing the movement in other places as well. There is such a gift that we all share in common. And that I love to be able to share within all of the movement experiences that we've had in my apostolate as well, my mission, working with other Regnum Christi members, legionaries. It's such a beautiful experience that spark of being fully alive, it's set a fire inside. And I think just continuing that work together, I do miss the youth and family encounters, so I hope we can see each other at some point, because that's where I feel like all of a sudden it's just like a little fire that happens. You just like meet people and you just see the family that we are, and that I'm so grateful for. So thank you for being part of this family, and and I hope we get to see each other. But also to know that you were saying, Yvonne, and I'm sure you meant to as well, that we're praying for each one of you. And we ask you all for prayers for us as well, and for vocations, like you were saying. Yes, we definitely would love that as well. So on that note, I think we'll call it a wrap. And we hope you have a beautiful evening. Thank you so much for listening and for your prayers.
Thank you. Have a good evening.